Yeah, you guys need to see the dark side, the other side. You can play Angry Birds on an iPhone, or an Android device for that matter.
It's true. Really anything but what you're using now.
Yeah, try that on a BlackBerry.
Click, 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 click.
Hey everyone, you are listening to episode 25 of the recurring Bosscast, Splitkick's fortnightly podcast. I'm Jet from SplitKick.com. With me is Jason from Inside Gaming Daily and Slick Gaming.
How do you do?
I'm a little under the weather, actually.
Oh.
I don't know if it comes out in my voice, but I came down with a sore throat last night. This morning I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, couldn't get back to sleep, and now I've got a stuffy nose.
It's been going around, I think. I wasn't feeling it this week.
Yeah, we shouldn't have made out that one time.
I know, you know.
You guys can keep that in Canada, that's okay.
And also with us is Matt from Biff Bam Pop and the Screamin' Ego.
What's going on?
You tell us what's going on besides the triumphant return of the Screamin' Ego.
Yes, it is back.
I listened, it was fun.
Oh, you listened to it. Nice,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, so we got back in the seats after quite a while off. But yeah, it's good. We've got some more things in the works, so hopefully we're going to be doing it weekly again. So we're looking forward to that.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to that as well, because I love that show.
Yeah, and we have a good quiz for John coming up again. So we're back in the saddle, as they say.
Sweet. Anything else going on with you?
Yeah, I went to the X. We talked about this last time that I was going to head down. Mm-hmm. And I did, and I had some of the food there. Unfortunately, the Cronut Burger was not available, so I couldn't try that. My stomach thanks whoever took that off.
I can't imagine why it wasn't available.
But I did try I had the deep fried Mars bar again. I had one of those last year. Those are delicious. But awful for you, obviously.
There is this restaurant that Steph and I like to go to called Axia, which is an Asian fusion place. Okay. And they do deep fried tempura Mars bars.
Oh, man.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yes. It's just a remix.
Yeah, basically. I think the tempura is more of like a flaky deep fried. This one was just kind of a batter deep fried. So it was, I don't know. But I also had, for the first time, and I'm not a big fan of buttery anything, like cooked butter in any way, but they had deep fried butter at the X. And it sounds really gross, but really what happens is they deep fry it, but by the time it's out of the deep fryer, the butter is kind of just soaked into the batter.
Ugh.
So it's kind of like butter batter. It's like a giant buttery Timbit, basically. For those in America, it's the donut hole.
Okay, I was like, whoa.
Like a Timbit.
Yeah, it's basically like a plain Timbit dipped in copious amounts of butter. So
Sounds interesting.
I can say I tried it. I don't think I'll try it again.
I've never heard the term donut hole until maybe a few years ago.
Really?
Yep, I did not know that was the actual term for it. I just went by the Canadian way of saying it.
Is that an American thing, donut hole?
I don't know. I mean, it's all over America, I would say.
Yeah.
The only time you don't hear donut hole is when someone like trademarked it. Like at Dunkin' Donuts, they're called Munchkins. But they're donut holes.
Really? Munchkins?
Yeah, that's what they've been for like ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, that must be annoying if you work, another Canadian reference, if you work at a Coffee Time Donuts and people keep asking you for Timbits, and you just keep correcting them every single... I don't even know what the Coffee Time Donuts equivalent is.
I don't even know if they sell them. Do they sell them?
I would assume so.
Maybe they're just donut holes there.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they're donut voids or something. Completely.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of some sort of witty way of tying in the coffee or the time into a donut hole name, but I can't do it.
Yeah, we've only got an hour, Jet.
Let's just, cut you off right there.
Yeah.
And later on in the show, you're just going to, like, scream it out.
He's like, I got it. Oh, my God, I figured it out.
I had an artsy-fartsy weekend.
Yes, I want to hear about your weekend.
So, first off, on Saturday night, I went to the Legend of Zelda Symphony of the Goddess concert.
Oh, that's so awesome. Jealous.
And have you guys been to Video Games Live?
I have not been to Video Games Live. It's definitely on my list of things to do before my bucket list.
All right.
Yeah, I haven't been to Video Games Live, but I've been to Distant Worlds, the Final Fantasy concert.
Okay, so I would assume this is probably a little more like that.
Yeah, from what I read on your blog, it seems very similar.
Does Vic Lucas still host Video Games Live?
Tommy Tallarico.
Tallarico. Yeah.
Yes. For whatever reason, you just made me think of an episode of Game Trailers where they interviewed Tommy Tallarico about the making of Color a Dinosaur.
Was that his first game? What?
It was his first game, and the music was horrible, and they were making fun of it, so they decided to interview him about it. And
Amazing.
He said he had like 2 hours to make the soundtrack for that game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he's gone on better things.
Yeah, yes. For sure. So, I guess the big difference with Video Games Live and this concert is that Video Games Live is a very general show, so they'll play like a 5-minute medley from each game or each game franchise. And which is all fine and dandy for what it is, but with Symphony of the Goddess, it was all Zelda stuff, so they really got to expand on the themes of that. So there was 15 to 20 minute sets for Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker.
Oh, that's awesome.
And A Link to the Past.
Heck yeah.
And they got to tell that story from beginning to end in music form, and the clips that they picked for it were really well done as well.
Oh, now I've got the music from Link to the Past in my head.
Oh, such a great soundtrack.
It's going to be in my head all night.
Yeah.
So they had 4 main, as they call them, movements, and then they did some other ones on the side. So there was a separate bit for the Gerudo Valley theme.
Oh,
they
such a
did
good
a
song.
Majora's Mask bit, which was not in the 25th anniversary concert last year. And I was overall very impressed and really enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Man, that's
I got
so cool.
to see Wind Waker HD there.
Oh, cool.
And?
With the exclusives. It looks gorgeous in real life. At one point, I was on the balcony upstairs looking downstairs at people playing it, and I'm about 60 feet away, and it still looked great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've just seen video footage of it, but it looks great.
They had Linked Between Worlds there, but I didn't get to play or even see that. I just saw 3DSs strapped to a display.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And didn't make the connection until it was too late.
I'm really excited about that game, too.
Oh, heck yeah. That game looks so cool.
And I also took part in the Toronto International Film Festival.
Nice. For which movie?
Very big deal. Lots of celebrities out here. Going into split TMZ mode, I saw Sandra Bullock.
Ooh,
I have pictures of the back of her head and a side profile.
nice.
She was entering the theater as I was walking out.
So you got her from The Blind Side.
Heyo.
I'll show myself it.
I saw her. I saw the guy who plays Mad-Eye Moody in the Harry Potter movie.
Oh, nice.
And Taylor Kitsch, I think his last name is. The guy who plays John Carter in John
Yeah,
Carter.
I was like, that name sounds familiar.
Friday Night Lights?
Yeah.
That guy? Yeah. I saw him too. I saw Philomena, which is a movie starring Judi Dench and Steve Coogan, I think is his name.
Okay.
And it's a very dramatic movie about an Irish woman who was a nun who had a baby, and the nuns gave her baby away.
Aw.
And she was trying to trace down her kid 50 years later. And it was amazing.
Did you pick that movie specifically, or did you just get a movie chosen?
Steph got the tickets for free from work.
Nice, right on.
As she tends to do.
Hey, it works out sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing movie. I was reading the descriptions for it. I was not interested in it at all, but I said to myself, well, it's TIFF. At least I got to be part of TIFF, and this movie will be whatever it is. And it turned out to be incredible.
That's
Nice.
great.
So really glad I got to do that. And she bought tickets for one more documentary this Saturday. We are going to see Supermensch, which is the Mike Myers directed documentary.
Interesting.
What is it? A documentary about what?
Yeah.
Comedy and stuff.
Nice.
That could be cool.
Yep. So he's making his directorial debut with that one.
Interesting.
And Jason, how about you? What have you been up to?
I've really just been working. It's been a lot of downtime. Not anything fun, actually. I really can't even, rack my mind for something that interesting that's happened. So, yeah.
Have you at least been playing anything cool?
Yeah, I guess it wasn't that good, but I got to play the new TMNT game, Out of the Shadows, for the 360.
What did you think?
Okay.
I've heard tons of things about this.
Oh, man, I already reviewed it, and I gave it a 4.5 out of 10.
Right.
And personally, I liked the game. It was really fun when it would work, and the action was really cool. Playing with the multiplayer online or split screen co-op was actually very exciting and fun. And there was a nice level of depth for the combat because you could do pretty much anything, but there were just so many glitches. And it really just cut everything down, and it was super laggy. And Oh man, like I remember I was playing with Laura and we were fighting some boss that Baxter Stockman, the scientist,
the fly guy?
Evil guy. Well, he wasn't a fly yet, but yeah, okay. Him. He built like a big mouser robot, and right before you fight outside of this warehouse, and he's like, "This will stop the turtles." And the first time you played it, like everything just became like white, and then there was everything was like silhouetted, and you couldn't see what was happening. And at first I thought like, wow, this is like pretty crazy. Like, they switched the art style and it's hard to play, but no, it was just a glitch. So like we went back and we played it again and you could just see normally. And then I remember another time, this room was locked and, you unlocked it by beating all the enemies and then the door would randomly unlock. But instead of walking all the way around to get there, I just like dive rolled right through the door. Like I clipped through. And so it's just things like that. And there's another time where I was just walking forward, not touching anything, and my character just fell through the ground. And eventually he just landed back where he was. But things like that really take it away, and so that kind of sucked. Oh, and then the controllers were kind of wonky. So
yeah, that's kind of the predominant review I've sort of heard of that game is it's just broken.
I mean, like, I try to give it a standard, and 5 is average. And so I think when I put something below that, I feel like that is a game that's something about it is fundamentally wrong. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I have to put it there. Otherwise, like when the game works, it's actually great. And if you're a Turtles fan or you have someone to play with, I mean, you would probably enjoy it.
Although the Turtles are getting increasingly more terrifying looking.
Oh my god. Well, then don't play this game because it's creepy.
Yeah, this is what I mean. They don't look like the funny cartoon sort of kid-friendly Turtles anymore. Yeah. They look like actual turtles. And I don't know if that's kind of what the creators were going for when
I have no idea. Yeah, they are pretty creepy. Michelangelo's the worst one. So take that as you will.
Yeah.
Anyways, outside of that, I actually downloaded all the new Street Pass games for the 3DS. So I've been playing those, and they're actually really surprisingly fun. Yeah. So if you do Street Pass stuff, I don't know, you guys aren't big 3DS guys, but anyone listening, I'd highly recommend getting them.
Yeah, my brother's been playing those. At the concert, he was Street Passing with a bunch of people.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, wait, going back to the concert. Did anybody cosplay?
Yes.
What did you see?
Girls dressed as Link, outnumbered guys dressed as Link,
of course.
10-1.
Of course.
That's okay, though.
It was 9, of the people that were cosplaying, 98% were girls dressed up as assorted characters.
Nice.
That makes sense.
There would be a handful of guys dressed as Link, but no one dressed as, Tingle or anything.
Well, that's probably for the best. Did anything stand out as being, exceptionally well done? Was there a Midna or something, or anything like that?
There was a girl dressed as the blue girl from Skyward Sword, and she looked really amazing.
That's cool. Were there any 8-bit cosplays? That'd been pretty cool.
No.
Oh man.
Yeah, the thing that stood out was girls dressed as Link, which is a common trend I've seen at every fan expo, but it especially came to life at this particular show.
Very nice. But anyways, yeah, so that's all I've been playing.
So I've been playing some 3DS as well. I picked up Project Cross Zone at Fan Expo, nice. And I've been playing a bunch of that.
Project Cross Zone.
I do have to agree with pretty much everything you said about that game, Jason, about how the intro is kind of a mess, and it's kind of cool when they do all the in-jokes, but if you don't know those characters, then it means nothing.
Yeah.
It's just anime dudes talking to each other.
Exactly.
It feels like a very half-baked game, where they took all the time to figure out a cool battle system, and then everything else is just kind of a moot point. Mm-hmm. But man, that battle system is really fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I felt like you didn't do much, but it's fun. So it looks cool.
You really don't do much, but in terms of pressing buttons, but the nuances, the timing of your button presses, and figuring out the sequence to maximize your combos and support characters and all that. And it's just a merciless beatdown, that entire game, because you never see the enemies, you almost never see the enemies fight back.
Yeah, that's true.
So 98% of that game is you and your giant crew of dudes beating up on these nobodies. And I can see for some people that really wearing them down, but so far I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Do you have a favorite pair unit or solo unit? Or character at all, I guess?
I'm, of course, partial to Ken and Ryu.
Right.
In particular, I love their super animation where it doesn't have just Ryu's Metsu Hadouken. They do the total Ume Shoryu where he does the uppercut and FADCs into the fireball, which is a really nice little touch.
Exactly. Oh, I love it.
That one was, the fan service in that game is great.
Yeah.
I also like Chun-Li and Morgan. I use that power-up of Chun-Li's to boost my XP by 20%.
Yeah.
And so they're super powered. Yeah, that's about it.
Fair enough. How far are you into the game?
I think...
Or I guess hours-wise, yeah.
10 to 12 hours in.
That's cool.
How far am I along then?
That's still, I guess, kind of towards the first half of the game. I don't know. I mean, it depends how long you want to play, but yeah, you could probably clock in 30 or 40, if not more.
Oh, man.
But it depends how fast you go. I mean, if you... I tried to get all the stuff, like, all of the treasure chests on the level, and I kill every enemy. So if you're not doing that, you might go faster.
Man, I don't know if I can play this game for that much longer, but I do want to kill all the dudes.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing over and over and over again.
Mm. Well, I didn't mean to ruin it for you.
No, it just makes... I've got something to play, I guess, on the subway for the next 2 months.
There you go.
Silver lining. I started and got really far into and eventually stopped playing Far Cry 3.
Mm.
How come you stopped playing it?
I hate stealth. And for most of that game, you can kind of... You don't need to. I always ran in there, guns blazing, just shot everyone. Yeah. And I got to a part really late into the game where it was a forced stealth mission. And I tried it for about an hour, didn't get very far. I kept dying. I lowered the difficulty, still couldn't do it. And then I watched a walkthrough of it and saw what I needed to do and how much more of it I had not even gotten to yet, and said, I'm done here.
Mm.
It's the same thing that happened in Dishonored, where I just got to a point where I was not having fun with the stealth anymore, and I kind of had to do it if I wanted to move forward. Mm-hmm. And just said, yeah, no, this isn't worth it for me, so I will move on. In spite of the fact that I think otherwise, Far Cry 3 is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Did you try disabling all the alarms?
No, I shot dudes. I shot started out like when I was taking out the strongholds. I'd go up on a hill and I would use my bow and arrow, and I would just start shooting arrows at people. And if they saw me, pulled out the machine gun and just start shooting.
But at least if you stealth at the beginning and take out the alarm and then go up on the hill and shoot, then they can't call for backup.
Yeah.
Right, so then you can take... The problem is if you do that, then you kill a whole bunch of people, then they call for backup, then it just keeps replenishing, right?
That's okay. I like shooting all of them. Just bring it on.
Jesse's just got a chair up on top of the hill.
Yeah.
Just a drink with him. He's just shooting people. Yeah.
Otherwise, such a great game, and I'm really bummed out that it kind of ended like that for me. And I'm sure that if I really, really wanted to, I could go back and play through that one bit, and it's probably smooth sailing from there, but so many other things to play.
Yep, definitely.
Such as, I picked up Hardcore Uprising from the back-to-school sale.
I love that game.
It's so great!
Isn't that great? Oh,
I can't believe I did not pick this up sooner as a Contra fan.
Yeah, that is so
good.
Went,
oh, this is Guilty Gear Contra. But I read reviews and they said, oh, it's really hard. And at the beginning it's really hard, but if you're playing in the Rising mode where you can start where you last left off level-wise, and you can level up your guys from there, it makes it a lot more tolerable.
Yeah.
And just the action is so nuts, and I love the double jumping and the air dashing and...
all the crazy crap that flies at you.
All the crazy stuff. So, I've gotten all the way to the last boss, and I think it's the last permutation of that last boss.
Yeah, there's like 4, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, man, I was on the 3rd one.
Okay, maybe it's only 3. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, though. Yes,
so I can get to that point with maximum lives, maximum health, and then I just get demolished.
You're not supposed to win. That's what I've determined.
Yeah, I think I can get him to a point where he's got 10% health left, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
I think if I had a second player co-oping it with me, I could do it, but...
I'll play with you.
I haven't tried
I'll totally play that. Wait, are you playing on PlayStation or what?
Xbox.
Okay, good.
It's on sale for, I think, $4.
Oh, everyone listening needs to buy that game.
Yeah, do it. It's so good.
Do you have any of the special characters, too? Or did you buy them, or no?
No.
Oh, man, I remember when I was playing it, someone bought... One of the characters has, like, a sword or something? I don't remember. Some weapon that's not a gun. So he bought that, and he also had the ability where he starts with 99 lives, and it was just, like, a cakewalk. And so I was just like, give me all of your experience. As I was playing, it was not fair. But it was so fun, though.
Yeah, with Contra games, I don't need the thrill of being able to beat it with the 3 lives they give you or the 1 continue. I just want to play through it.
Exactly.
I don't care how many times I die. It is thrilling for me to just get to the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got so good at the beginning stages in like the desert, fighting that worm caterpillar boss thing. And then I would get so frustrated because I would die and have to do it all over again. But anyways, I digress.
And one other game that I've been playing that I think everyone should try out at some point, regardless of the console you have, Rayman Legends. I've been playing it on the Wii U with Steph, and oh my goodness, that is such a fantastic game. Gorgeous graphics, the level design is really clever and creative. They fixed pretty much everything I didn't like with Rayman Origins, which wasn't much.
Right.
And the touchscreen stuff is really great. So Steph plays with the gamepad, and she switches freely between the touchscreen stuff and controlling her own character. And they do some really smart things to make the touchscreen stuff interesting to play and challenging. So it doesn't really look or feel like a baby mode at all. It's actually really important to the progress of your game.
You laying like platforms down and stuff like that, or what?
You're dragging platforms around. You have to rotate the controller, which sometimes rotates the world.
Whoa.
You can kill bad guys by tapping on the screen. Sometimes it's intentionally full of enemies that you have to tap to get them out of the way. There's a lot of moments where you have to coordinate movements between the moving characters and the touchscreen guys so that, like, there'd be elaborate platform sequences where you have to make a bunch of quick successive jumps, and it's dependent on the touchscreen person making, like, precise movements as well.
Very nice.
That seems very awesome, but also extremely tedious.
Yeah.
Tedious for, like, the person on the touchscreen?
Well, just, I mean, getting it right and then not getting it right and then having to try it again and probably doing it 100 times.
Well, it's not that hard.
Yeah, okay.
It's challenging, but Steph and I have been blowing through the game pretty quick. Which isn't like... Well, Rayman Origins for the first half of the game was pretty easy, but then the second half of that game is brutal.
It's like they just hit the difficulty switch
way
halfway
higher,
through.
And there's a lot of cheap kills in Rayman Origins where there were a lot of running levels where if you made one mistake, you would just instantly die.
Oh, really?
And so far, I haven't encountered anything like that. Matt, have you been playing anything?
I bought NHL 14.
Nice.
Of course, as one Canadian would do. Well, all Canadians should do. Let's be real here.
Plus, it for me on another level as well because Marty Brodeur is on the cover, who happens to be my favorite hockey player of all time. So, I even if I didn't want to buy it, I had to buy it just to pay respect. But so obviously, big NHL fan. I'm severely impressed with this version of it.
All right.
Normally, not so impressed. Normally, it's kind of just sort of a different iteration every year. They add a couple things and they remove a couple things that people don't like. But this year, they've changed a couple of fundamental things, which I think makes the game a lot better. Namely, the fighting engine has been completely changed. So, whereas it used to be, I think from NHL 10 or I think it was 10 and up, they had this sort of first-person minigame mode of fighting. And so it was basically, once you started a fight, it zoomed in over your shoulder, then went to first-person mode, and your hands kind of stuck out of the front. And then it was sort of a button mash. You just kind of punched until one guy fell down. Now they've changed it. It's overhead. It's sort of like a third-person view, and you can see the whole ice, and the gloves go flying. And they actually integrated some of the mechanics from Fight Night into the fighting.
Like Fight Night.
Yeah, so you can. There's a bunch of different things you can do. So in the older ones, all you can do is block and punch, basically. But this one, you can sort of push and pull, and you can grab the jersey, and you can lean away, and you can sway, you can uppercut, and you can punch, and you can jab. So it's interesting, and it adds a pretty good mechanic. I haven't really played a whole lot online yet, so we'll see how that goes when you're playing against a bunch of people that all they want to do is fight all game. So, but yeah, the fighting, I think. It's a lot better in this version. And then they've improved the hitting as well. So now they've got more of a sort of a ragdoll physic hitting. Okay. So before it was kind of, you timed it, and if you could time it, it didn't really matter where you hit the player, the guy would go flying. In this version, it's sort of based on, I think there's like, I don't know how many points of impact there are, but there's a lot of them. And essentially, if you hit a guy in the knee, his leg will go flying up in the air. If you hit a guy in the arm, he'll go spinning around in a circle. If you hit him from behind, he'll go down like you hit him from behind, and so on and so forth. So a lot more realistic hitting, and it's all based on size of the player and momentum. So it's sort of a lot more of a hardcore simulation as opposed to more of an arcade game. And that was kind of something that I was looking forward to. Hopefully it's going to make it a little bit more realistic, and they've improved a bunch of other things. So like the goalie AI, the defenseman AI, sort of the way they act and whatnot. So I'm definitely interested in looking or in playing a lot more of it. So, and I think that's pretty much what I'm going to be playing until GTA 5 comes
Naturally.
out. So.
Yeah.
It's going to be that and then GTA 5. That's my whole...
until the new year.
I don't blame you. For the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been picking and choosing all of my games based on, can I finish this before GTA 5?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to get Saints Row 4, and I didn't, specifically for that reason. I was like, what am I going to do with Saints Row 4? It's like a week until GTA 5 comes out.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That is going to be a monumental game that everyone has been clearing their schedules out for. And man, now would be a perfect time to roll into the Bosscast topic of the week, but there's one thing we should acknowledge on the show beforehand. Was it at TGS where this happened?
I think so.
All right, Sony announced some new hardware, the PlayStation Vita TV, which is basically an Apple TV except for PlayStation stuff. So you can still watch your Netflix and whatnot on it, but you can also play Vita games on it.
What?
Yeah, just download it to the unit and play with the DualShock 3. And supposedly they're patching in DualShock 4 support into it as well. And I believe the pricing is $150 if you want it with an 8 gig memory card and a DualShock 3, or the base model is $100.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know how excited I am about it, though.
Yeah, I'm not leaning any one way. I guess I'm kind of in the middle, but I mean, I don't have a Vita, so that's kind of neat. But at the same time, I'd rather have the actual Vita because then I could, take it with me and then link it up with the PS4. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
The tech geek in me wants it because it's new hardware and it's only $100, and it's like I don't have a Vita. Exactly. I could spend $100 and get a Vita. I'll play it on my TV. I was just gonna play games anyway. I think that handheld's too big, and I would just play on my 3DS anyhow. But then on the other hand, it's like all of the media functions I can already do on a PS3, and we only have 2 TVs here and 2 PS3s, which do all of that stuff. And then I looked at the list of Vita games that are out there, and I don't really want to play any of them.
Wait, there's a list?
The only thing I could see this being extremely useful for, and not that I would even think that this situation would occur very often, but if you had a collection of, say, PSP or PS1 or, whatever games that you played a lot, it would be, and for you wanted to take them to a friend's house or something, it would be the equivalent of either lugging your PS3 or taking your PS Vita TV, which would be a lot lighter and more
That's actually a good point. That's a good idea.
But realistically, how many times have you said, I really want to play Final Fantasy VII, but I want to play it at Jet's house?
What do you mean? I guess you haven't been taking part in my monthly Final Fantasy VII nights.
Yeah. It's like, it's the new age LAN party box, basically.
Each month we take turns playing different segments of the game, and I guess this month I'm about to play the part where Aerith dies.
Whoa, spoilers.
Oh, you get the best part. Yeah, spoilers for a game that old. I think
That's
we're okay.
I haven't even played that game, but I know that happens.
Everyone knows.
And I still joke about it all the time.
Yeah, that's really the only sort of useful thing I can see. I don't know. I mean, do we have enough media streaming boxes and Netflix?
Of course we do.
Places to access Netflix. Like, what do we need this for?
You can get a Google Cast for $40. Use your tablet for all that same stuff.
Yep.
But man, I still kind of want one. If someone gave me one for Christmas, I would not mind it at all.
Well, someone gave me one, I would use it, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see how useful it's going to be. Unless it's, they've got it some sort of like ace up their sleeve where it's going to have some sort of wild integration with the PS4 and the Vita going next gen. Other than that, I don't know.
What's the launch window for the TV? Do we know? And is it still just Japan only, or?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's coming out.
I'm not sure. It just says launches in Japan on November 14th.
Okay.
So...
Man, they got a raw deal. We're getting the PS4 the next day, and they get the PS Vita TV.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Japanese company.
See, the other thing is it says, too, that not all Vita games can be played. Anything, basically, that needs a rear touchpad or touchscreen. So, I mean, that's going to severely limit content, I think. So
you can't play your Uncharted on it, then?
Yeah, really, because you can't punch.
That would be useful.
Yeah, interesting. But they said over 600 PSP digital games and 600 PlayStation 1 and PC Engine games will be available.
Oh, dude, PC Engine.
Bonk.
Everyone knows it has the secret best version of Street Fighter 2 on it.
Mm-hmm.
Or was that the Turbo Express? That's the best portable version, I believe.
What is a Turbo
Express? Are they the same thing?
I've never heard of... What is Turbo Express?
That was a portable TurboGrafx 16.
Really?
And I believe it ran the same cartridges, too.
Oh, nice. Like a Sega Nomad.
Yes.
Okay.
It's only 6 centimeters by 10 centimeters. Yeah. That's the size.
Can you translate that into inches for our American audience?
That would be...
I couldn't do that off the top of my head.
It's basically just smaller than a DualShock controller.
All right.
Would be like, somewhere, like the face size of a DualShock controller.
So tiny enough that you could lose it and then be really upset.
Mm. Basically, it's like one of those mini hard drives.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
that's actually probably a great
guys.
Reference.
Yeah.
So how long before we get the Xbox 360 version in that format, or I don't know, the 3DS TV?
Well, there's Me TV, right? Don't they have that?
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get a 3DS TV.
That sounds like the worst thing ever.
3DS has Netflix.
It'd be the size of the actual screen on the XL.
Have you watched Netflix on your 3DS?
I have.
No.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How was it?
When I first got it, because I was like, well, I might as well try. But, I mean, it's just like, we have like a much bigger TV right in front of us, so let's just watch it there.
I actually did. Yeah, I did try it when when I first got it, just to see what it was like.
Is it anything but the worst thing ever?
I think it's pixelated. Like, the screen is not that good of a quality.
Oh, really? I didn't think that. I was actually kind of a little bit impressed, because I was like, this is... it looks good. I was sitting in my house, so I had a good internet connection, but I don't know. I mean, if you really need to watch, this episode of Breaking Bad on the go, I guess you can whip out your 3DS.
You have the XL or just the regular?
Just the regular.
Oh, maybe I'm just jaded then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just used to bigger screens.
Yeah, well, yeah, me too. I mean, that's the issue. Why would you ever do it that way? But
I have a hard time watching things on my iPhone.
Oh, so I'm just fine with my iPhone. I have an iPhone 4, and I've played with a 5, and I'm like, this is too big. My thumb doesn't reach all the way to the top when I'm holding it in the default position.
Oh, Jack.
And that annoys the heck out of me more than watching stuff on a smaller screen. Like, for my purposes of watching Salty Bet on my phone, this is just fine.
Yeah. Mm. No, I think if you get the 5, your thumb just sort of genetically adapts and it grows longer by about half an inch. Because mine seems to be fine. I think I had that problem when I first got it, but now I think my thumb is expanded to a point where I can do it. Mm. That's Apple's secret plan.
Just evolve the human race with longer thumbs.
Evolve the human brain, evolve the human hand, and then they can't use any other phone.
Very nice.
We've stumbled on their secret.
All right, let's cover the Bosscast topic of the week. So we've kind of alluded to it. There is a big launch happening. I guess if you are listening to this on the day this comes out, Grand Theft Auto is out tomorrow, which is a pretty big deal. And instead of talking about Grand Theft Auto, I just wanted to talk about the launch experience for video games. And I guess we can expand this to other things if you guys have launch stories for other things you have bought on day one. Okay. And I don't know about you, but like, when I was growing up, it wasn't until I started reading video game magazines where launch days were even a thing.
Yep, same.
I would just go to... I didn't even know games existed. I'd go to the store or the video rental store and a game would show up there and like, oh, well, that's a thing now. All right, let's try this out. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I started reading video game magazines where all the ads for street dates and all that hit, and that's when it started to matter to me. And the first game where I remember that being a really big deal was Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo.
Such a good game.
Nice.
And it wasn't even me that bought it. It was my best friend, Gandhi, at the time, and he was super into Killer Instinct, and he could not wait to get this at home. And he talked about it with me every single day until he finally got it.
Nice.
And I did end up buying it, but not for like another 12 years. But
with that black cartridge.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Black cartridge and ultra combos and all of that, and then he would just whoop my butt for ages. He was always better than me in that one.
Well, that's because you were 12 years too late.
For sure.
You're like, now I can fight you, let's go. It's like, dude, we're 20.
That wouldn't stop me, I'd still play.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any like launch stories from way back then? Like, I guess when launches started to matter to you, if they ever did?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of the same. When I started my Nintendo Power subscription, I started to care more because I would follow their hype train. And it wasn't Super Nintendo, but the first game I remember being super excited for was Ocarina of Time. And I remember Nintendo Power ran like maybe 6 months before the game came out, because I think it got delayed back in 1998 or whatever. they had just the promo, or like a 5-page promo for it, and it was still called Zelda Gaiden, and it looked so cool, and it was in 3D, and Link was old and young, and I think I was, God, how was I? I was like 9, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, I need to play this game. Like, I don't even have the 64. I need to get one and play it. And that was all because of the Nintendo Power. And, it ended up being a great game, of course. But I'll always remember it because I remember getting that game and the system for Christmas. And I didn't care about anything else I opened. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to play that. And after we opened all of our presents in the morning, I went, set it up, and just played it until we had to go to my grandma's house, came back home, played it again. And yeah, that was a great, that was a good example of a launch story.
The whole time you're at your grandma's house?
Yeah, I'm just thinking what I could be doing right now.
Yeah. I remember that game being really hard to get at launch. I showed up to the store on launch day. It was already sold out, and I would be going into stores or calling stores every single day for weeks with no luck. And then one day I went to a Toys R Us, and they had one copy left. And I thought I was the luckiest guy in the world when I scooped it up for myself.
See, I guess I was a little unaware of the issue because my dad and my older brother both worked at Toys R Us. And so they actually reserved it. So I was super lucky to get the gold one. But that's awesome. Day one, they got it. So, oh man.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think my first sort of experience with launch days wasn't so much with buying the games when they came out, but more like waiting for them to get to the store so I could rent them.
That's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we used to rent video games and then have to take them back. Yeah, so, I mean, I remember doing it with Super Nintendo games. I remember doing it specifically with Killer Instinct as well.
Nice.
But nothing really beat that sort of euphoric feeling when you walked into the video store on a day the game would launch or, a couple days later. And, it was always a sort of a guess as to whether or not it would be there. If the guy brought it back on time, boarded it before you, and you'd walk in and then you'd see it and then the game would be behind it and it'd be and you walk up and grab it. That was kind of my first sort of quote unquote launch experience, was renting them. But I think my first real launch experience was I got a original Game Boy the day they came out.
Oh, nice. Dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
My brother and I both got one because, we were twins, so everything had to come in twos. But so I got one of those. And then there's a couple games that we got on the days they came out. But yeah, and then I remember Nintendo 64 as well. I didn't get that quite on launch day, but I remember basically following that religiously, waiting for it to come out. So, yeah, I don't know.
Nice. I've got some, I guess, if we're going to expand this to consoles, and why not flow the conversation. I remember the GameCube launch. That was the first system I ever bought on launch day. I did not have a reservation for it, so we went to the mall first thing in the morning, go to the local EB Games. And I asked if they had GameCubes, and they said, did you pre-order? And of course I said no, and then of course they said, oh, sorry, we don't have any then.
Oh, really?
Walked...
He's like about to take the blanket off it. He's like, oh, you didn't pre-order it? Never mind. And he puts it over top. We don't have any.
So I walked over to the Zellers, and they had a whole bunch just sitting behind the counter. So I was like, yep, I'll get one of those, and just walked out with it.
Nice.
Which is in complete... stark contrast to the Wii launch, where I had to pre-order that 5 months in advance, and that Zellers only had 12 of them, and there was a line of about 100 people, and when my friend got his over at Shoppers World, there was a big fight. Some dudes were fighting over their Wiis, and I ended up taking that home and playing Wii Sports, and that was awesome. I remember playing Wii Tennis thinking, man, this is the future of video games.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where they go from here. Can't wait for that Star Wars lightsaber game.
Yeah.
So much for that. And then I've pretty much gotten every Nintendo handheld on launch day since the Game Boy Advance. I remember getting my Game Boy Advance with Tony Hawk 2 and trying to play it outside in the sun and not being able to see anything.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you weren't out in the sun, you probably couldn't see anything because there's no light. It's amazing how much that does, the backlit screen.
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting the Game Boy. I never had an SP, but I remember getting the Game Boy Advance on launch day. And I think the first game I played was Super Mario Bros. 2. So it's kind of backwards in a sense, but man, it was so cool because it looked so much better. It was amazing. Oh, and I remember the 3DS launch. When I didn't have a pre-order, and I went to GameStop, tried to get it, and they didn't have it for, I think, 2.5 weeks. And I just felt like I was kicking myself over and over because I'm like, all my friends are enjoying these awesome games and they're street passing and all these things, but in reality, none of that was happening. But I was still jealous.
You made it a lot worse in your head than it was.
I guess going back in time a little bit, I'll never forget the GoldenEye launch. So I guess this starts on a really tragic note for me. I came home one day from out on the beach in the summertime, and my house was robbed.
Oh, man.
And specifically, whoever robbed my house only went to my room and stole my video games.
Really?
So they stole stole my N64, my Super Nintendo, and pretty much every game I had except for like a plastic bag with 1 or 2 controllers and a couple of games I took to a friend's house. So cops came, had to file some insurance papers, got some money to buy some stuff. And around that time, Nintendo had sent me a dossier promoting this game called GoldenEye. And I read that thing over and over again and said, oh man, this looks really cool. I should go and get that game as well. So with my insurance money on the day it came out, I bought that game.
It's a good game to buy.
Yeah.
Could have been the best insurance money purchase ever in the
history of everything.
Yep, I played a little bit of that single player, got through the facility, and it was like, wow, this is really cool. Hey, Randy, let's go play some multiplayer. And so it was just my brother and I running around shooting each other, and I was like, oh, this is okay. Only not to realize that once you play that game with 4 players, it's a completely different thing.
Then your mind exploded.
Yeah.
And set your own rules and all kinds of stuff. Oh, that's great. So,
Jason, I see your launch list. Your launch list stuff is really long here. So
yeah.
Throw out some other ones.
I try to be chronological. In kind of a different take on it, but again with Nintendo Power influencing my buying habits, they really pushed Ogre Battle 64. And that's a game that I would never otherwise ever have wanted. But I remember liking it because it looked really cool. The visuals were impressive to me. And I'm so happy I bought into the propaganda because it was so fun. And like, it was a great game. And so I was in line, quote unquote line, to buy it. And I'm sure I was the only one like getting that game, even though it's a great game. But yeah, it's just, it's memorable because I remember getting hyped up for it. I was hyping myself up for it, just reading the article over and over and over again. So that was pretty cool.
That's considered a collector's item now, right?
It is, yeah. So I'm happy that I got it, and it's still in good condition, so that's pretty cool. I remember being super excited also for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles on the GameCube, because it was the first time, or not the first time, but the latest entry of a Final Fantasy on a Nintendo system. And it supported the 4-player play with the Game Boy Advance link cables. So I actually got all of my friends to make sure we had link cables to play this. And we actually played it 4 players. And that game is pretty cool. With 4 people going all at once, that's actually really awesome. But yeah, I remember launch day, I was like, after school, you're coming to my house and we're going to play this stupid game. And yeah, it was awesome. I know, and I remember. I think I bought them pizzas, like just quick $5 pizzas. Like, yeah, it'll be a party, just to entice them to stay long. It worked. It was fun.
Nice.
I guess going back in time a little bit more, the second Matrix movie was about to hit theaters, and it was a big media event. I really liked the first movie. I was getting really excited to see the second movie, and I just so happened to be in the video game store when Enter the Matrix came out.
No.
I'd not read any reviews. I saw some preview coverage for it, and it looked kind of interesting. But what pushed me over the top was that this store was running a promo where if I bought the game, I would get a free ticket to see the movie. So I said, well, I'm going to see this movie anyway, and I'm kind of interested in this game. Let's do it.
That was a $50 movie ticket.
Oh, man. You are so right.
Yeah. And the box looked so cool, too. It was all holographic and had the green code all over it.
And they hyped that game up to be something in between the first and second movies, and it had side characters in it, and was supposed to tell its own standalone tale, and man, it just ended up being so bad.
Yep.
The one memory I'll always carry with me for that game was I was playing in a sewer level, and for whatever reason, there were Powerade machines everywhere.
In a sewer?
Yes, Powerade vending machines in a sewer.
Classic.
I mean, have you had Powerade? I'm just saying.
I don't know if you've tried it in a sewer.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
a sewer.
Oh, that's terrible.
How about you, Matt? You got some other launch stories?
Yeah, one I actually forgot about now that I can't believe I did was my brother and I worked for PlayStation for a few years, and he started there a while before I did. He actually did the promotional tour for the launch of the PS3. Cool. And I remember basically salivating over the PS3 after seeing, screenshots and videos and previews and whatnot of it. And he basically had it before it came out. They were taking it around so people could try it. So I remember meeting up with him in a hotel or something in Ottawa. And I walked in and he had the PS3 set up. And I think it was basketball. I think he had playing on it. And I just remember walking in and seeing it playing like for the first time ever. This was before it even launched. And man, it was like we just sat there. We ordered a pizza. We played basketball. I think he had a couple of other launch games with it. But yeah, so I got to play the PS3 before it launched. And then basically he had it right up until launch day. And then we bought it shortly after that. So, but yeah, I got to see the PS3 before it launched.
I like how you prefaced the story and made it sound like something seductive. Like, I met him in a hotel room, went to his room, and it was set up there.
Went into the room, and it was a setup PS3.
Yeah. What a threesome.
Hey,
me, my brother, definitely. And the PS3.
The PS3some.
PS3some. Oh. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, so I'll write that down as the show title.
PS3some.
Yeah.
I remember being super excited for Rock Band.
Mm-hmm.
The moment they had that original video of them playing the guitar and the drums and singing all at once, said to myself, that's a game I need. So I remember vividly in August, I put in a pre-order for that game. It was supposed to come out in November. I figured that the version with the bundle with the instruments was going to be really hard to come by. So I figured I will pre-order this now. And it ended up getting delayed, and when it finally came out, on the day it came out, I went to the store not knowing if it was there or not, but I just figured it was going to be out on that day. And the moment I walked into the store, the Purolator guy was walking out, having just dropped off a giant box of Rock Band kits.
Nice.
Oh.
And he had 5 of them, and I was pre-order number 4.
Ooh, close.
So
just snuck
in there, and I ended up being the first one to take one home.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And yeah, my brother and I played that pretty much the entire day.
Such a great
Rock
game.
Band 2 was... there's a story for that, too. That was the only midnight launch I ever went to.
Oh, yeah.
Rock Band 2.
Yes, and there wasn't a formal midnight launch. It was back when Walmarts around here were open till midnight. Or open past midnight, so I just kind of went to a Walmart around 11:30, hung around for a bit, and there was about 5 other dudes also waiting for Rock Band 2 in line. We looked like the biggest nerds in the universe there. And the girl already had the box with the games ready to go, and they just had to wait till midnight for the transactions to go down.
Right.
So
yeah,
we just made jokes about Guitar Hero and whatnot.
I have a midnight launch story.
All right.
So growing up, I was really excited about games, but now I realize I don't really do much pre-ordering. But for some reason, I decided to pre-order Mortal Kombat when it came out, the new one, and I got the big box with the arcade stick and stuff.
Oh, of course, that's why you pre-ordered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wanted that. I was one of 2, and that was the same night. That game released the same night as Portal 2. So for some reason, I had no idea Portal 2 was releasing. I knew it was coming out, but I didn't know it was that day. So I went to GameStop, and I'm in college at the time, and I take Laura and one of our mutual friends, who's also a girl, and we go there at like 11:45. We all go. Laura was going to come with, and Octavia came just for fun. And so we get there. There's probably about 25 people in line ahead of us, so we're waiting outside. It is raining. And so we're just standing there, and Laura and I are kind of just chatting about this and that, and Octavia's just like, I can't believe people stand outside in the rain for video games. Like, what is the deal with all this? Why can't you wait until tomorrow? All these things. And she would, like, walk up to the front of the line and be like, are they going to let us in? And just things like that. And she just didn't understand. And so I at the time, I still thought it was only for Mortal Kombat, so I was super excited. And then when people were walking out with other games, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So I walk in, and the guy's like, okay, what did you pre-order? And I gave him my slip, and he hands me the Portal 2 box. And I'm like, oh, I got Mortal Kombat. And he's like, oh, did you? Like, it was some sort of, like, not cool thing. I'm like, yeah, give me the game. And so I walked I had to walk to the back entrance, like, where the employees go to pick it up. And I gave them the slip, and it was like I won some sort of carnival, and they're like, hey, you got the collector's edition. And they handed it to me, and I walked out. And again, Octavia's like, Jason, why are you buying this? It's such a waste of money. And why is it like 12:30 at night? All these, it's so funny though. Like, People don't understand, like the concept of midnight releases if you really care about it. But yeah, I'll always remember it just because, it was like pouring rain. So, and there we are, waiting for video games.
It's funny that you have a pouring rain midnight launch story, because that was actually the last midnight launch I went to was for Modern Warfare 2, and it was pouring rain, and I swore that was the last time I was ever going to stand in a midnight
I think that was my last midnight launch.
And I think that's what it takes. It takes pouring rain in a midnight launch, and you have to stand outside. That'll end your midnight launch fever.
Exactly.
I've never been to another midnight launch.
Yeah, I've been to day
I've
one
only been to
launches,
2
but
in
not
general.
midnight, so.
Yeah, no. I've only been to 2. I went to the Cataclysm expansion
Nice.
launch at a Future Shop up in Woodbridge, and I went to the Modern Warfare 2 midnight launch, and that was the last one that rained. Or maybe it was Cataclysm that it rained. Whatever one came out later. The last one was, it rained, and I never went back to midnight launch after that.
It reminds me of the PS3 and Wii launches where people were camping out in front of the store in November, 24 hours before the system was going to come out, and just thinking, like, this isn't worth it.
No, it's not.
Well, couldn't you buy you're talking about the Wii U?
No, the Wii and the PS3.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, lineups around the mall, and...
I was going to say, pretty sure you could buy a Wii U the next day.
Oh, yeah. I ordered it online, but I remember the day of, just stores were empty. No one cared, and they still don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, the Wii was a huge seller.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember people, it was crazy. Like, nobody
That thing was sold out for years.
Yeah. Signs in every window, like, basically laughing at you if you wanted
it was like a secret thing. Like, I remember I went to GameStop to get mine. I got mine 6 months after. And I remember I went to the GameStop, and they're like, we don't have them. But I heard that Walmart behind us might have them. So I was like, oh, okay, great. So I went over there, and I talked to the lady. I'm like, hey, do you have... And she's like, a Wii? Yeah, we just got a box. And so she went back and pulled it out, and there was only 4 of them. So she handed me one. And I was like, okay, great. I'm going to pay for this, yada, yada. So I bought it, and they didn't have any other controllers, so I had to go back to GameStop. And so when I went there, the guy was like, yeah, I called over to Walmart. They sold all those Wiis already. And I mean, like, this is like a 1-minute walk. They sold
Wow.
it. Like, that's how fast it went. It was just crazy. And that's 6 months after it released.
Yeah, it's crazy.
People really want it.
I guess a more recent one for The Last of Us. I walked into the store during my lunch break at work, bought it, all great, and I'm like, I can't wait to go home and play this game. And then I realized on the subway on the way home that I totally forgot the game on my desk.
No.
And it was it came out on a Friday, and I had the entire weekend of just thinking to myself, man, I could have been playing this game, but nope, stupid me, left it on my desk.
I think I remember you posting something on Facebook about that. I could hear like the sad Hulk music playing in the background as you're walking toward it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like now I don't. Maybe it's because I don't care as much. Like I can wait. I'd rather sleep and then get up and get the game, or do what Jet did with the Wii U and just have it delivered to my house.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've got my PS4 on pre-order. I don't even need it on the day of.
Yeah.
I just want it sent to me at a convenient time, and I'll be able to play it in maybe the first week, and I'll be great.
Yeah. I like the idea of the convenience. It's nice.
Yeah.
You work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wii U is the same way. I was anxiously waiting by my door for the mailman to come and drop it off, and we had to run some sort of errand, and when I came back, the mailman had already left, and was like, yep, sorry, we had your Wii U, but you missed it, so too bad, so sad.
Oh.
Lame.
Jason, I see on your list you've got one other thing you have not mentioned. Well, a couple of other things you haven't mentioned here.
I mentioned... Oh, I have Borderlands on there. So I didn't do the midnight launch of Borderlands, but some of my friends went, and I ended up going the day later. Knowing very little about the game besides it being, a cool shooter that was Diablo-esque. But, man, I remember when I got the game, I took it home, and that was one of the first games I remember playing for, 10 hours straight. I didn't put it down. Whereas other games I would, maybe go eat dinner. But, yeah, that one, I wish I was there at midnight, because I could imagine how that launch would be. Jumping online with everybody all at level 1, finally being a level playing field, that would be pretty cool. But I just remember playing it because it was a surprise game for me. I didn't think it would be as good as it was.
That was a surprise game for me as well.
Yeah.
I didn't get it at launch. I got it a couple of months after the fact, but when I started playing that game, I could not put it down.
Yeah, it's a good one. The last... go on.
Do you guys have any other launch binges?
Launch binge.
The one I can think of was the Beatles Rock Band where I bought that game at a Walmart at 7:30 in the morning, and I beat it before 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Wow.
You would say it's been a hard day's night?
Oh.
I do have one. I remember Laura and I both got Diablo 3 when it came out. And we quote unquote binged on waiting for the game to let us into a server. So that lasted all night, but we only played for like an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, all the Rock bands between my brother and I, we binged on those really hard. Yeah, I can't think of other. There's got to be more. I'm usually big on buying the game as soon as I can on launch day if it's something I'm interested in, and then just going nuts.
I'm sure there's other games that have done this, but off the top of my head, I can only think of one series that I bought every game at launch, and that's Super Smash Brothers. I bought all of them, or they were given to me for like gifts. But yeah, nice. Oh man, again, the Nintendo Power thing for the original one was so cool for the 64. But I ended up technically getting Smash Brothers when it launched Melee on the Cube because I rented it, and my parents wouldn't let me buy it because they essentially had already bought it for Christmas because it came out in November. So I ended up just renting it for like 2 weeks. But I got it when it came out, and that game was so awesome. And then, of course, the Wii version. I think I did go to midnight for the Wii one. But that was super, I don't know. Everyone was there. Everyone that has a Wii, you pretty much have Smash. Mm-hmm. So, lots of good games, man. Makes me feel nostalgic.
So with Grand Theft Auto coming out in the very near future, do you guys have any launch plans for that?
I know I'm going to get it the day it comes out.
All right.
I don't believe I'll be standing in line at midnight, though.
I definitely won't be. I've got a gift card that has Grand Theft Auto 5's name all over it. So after work, come home, grab the gift card, go to this particular mall, and I really hope that they still have some in stock because I have not pre-ordered it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to guess they will.
I'm hoping they will.
Yeah, I bet you any place will. They know it's going to sell.
Are you getting it for PS3?
I don't think so.
What are you getting
360. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there'll probably be more copies available for PS3 simply for the fact that most people won't buy it for PS3.
Exactly. I mean, if the 360 version is sold out and I can only get it on a PS3, I don't think I would mind. But I think in general, I'd probably prefer 360. Yeah, up until the PS4 launch, I'm still an Xbox guy. But once that...
Well... The thing that gets it for me is that the online for this is supposed to be phenomenal. And if I had my choice between the PlayStation online community or the Xbox online community right now, I would go with the Xbox online community. So, and will probably be essentially my last hurrah for these systems, right? So,
yep. I mean, as I was talking to you guys before the show, there's some amazing games coming out in the month of October, not just for the 360 and PS3, but for Nintendo platforms as well, that if it wasn't a new console year, I'd be throwing down all sorts of money on those, but I'm going to have to forego pretty much everything after GTA 5 in order to make room for a PS4.
Wait, you're not going to get Pokemon X and Y?
Time-wise as well, though.
Pardon?
Pokemon X and Y are going to pass?
Yeah, I'm going to have to pass on that.
That's going to consume my life next month.
I'm going to have to pass on Wind Waker, on the new Mario game, on the new Donkey Kong, on the new Rocksmith. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for the new Rocksmith, but they pretty much fixed everything I did not like about the old game.
I didn't know they were making another one, so...
It immediately shot up to near the top of my most wanted list.
There you go.
Well, there's always Christmas.
Yes, my Christmas list is going to be insane this year. Santa better have deep pockets.
It's like one of those scrolls, you lift it up and it just rolls down the floor.
So if you guys want to share your launch stories with us, we would be more than welcome to read them on the show. You can email us at bosscast@splitkick.com. Love to hear everyone else's stories and what other crazy things they have done
for show
during the launch of anything.
I want to hear someone's story where they got into a fight. Beat somebody up and stole their copy of Dora the Explorer or something.
Got into a fight over Pokemon with this guy. It was the last copy, and then I stabbed him in the eye.
Yeah. He does. No one knows I did it.
I picture Jingle All the Way. I picture Jingle All the Way
exactly.
with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's what I want to hear. Something like that.
Yeah.
So let's wrap things up. I think this is a good place to stop. So let's go promote some things. Matt, what do you got going on?
So like we said at the beginning, new Screaming Eagle podcast is up. You guys can check that out. And yeah, I've got an NHL 14 review upcoming. So I can look for that on Biff Ben Pop.
Sweet. And Jason.
again, kind of going up to the beginning of the podcast, I have already written on my Slick Gaming blog a review of all the new Street Pass games, so all 4 of them are on there, and you can find out what they're all about and why you should buy them. And I have my TMNT Out of the Shadows, which is funny because it's TMN Toots. I like it. Out of the Shadows review on Inside Gaming, and you can see why it's a awesomely bad game. We'll give it that moniker. And sitting right at my desk now, I'm waiting to play Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix. I think I got that right. And that review should be coming up hopefully in maybe 2 weeks. So that's what I got cooking.
Great. As for me, you can check out my Kickstart guide to Dive Kick on Split Kick if you are still playing that game. I found that the Dive Kick communities really disappeared, at least on PS3. No one's playing that game no more. But if you are still hardcore on the grind trying to be the Daigo Umehara of Dive Kick, definitely check that out.
Nice.
Also, I guess following the trend of Jason and JJ putting up a database of all their games, I've put together one myself.
Nice.
I'm using this third-party app, website thing called Darkadia. It's powered by the Giant Bomb database.
Oh, cool.
So I was actually able to put this together in a few hours, and it's got some really cool ways to sort things and classify stuff and star ratings, and it has all of the information, who published it, what day the game came out, and I can say that I got the PS3 version versus I got this on PSN.
Nice.
So,
wow.
Yeah, I guess my list right now has 446 games on it.
A paltry 446.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Jason's probably like, 446? What did you start last week?
Exactly. That's funny.
And of these, it even classifies, so I tagged everything that I've beaten and everything that I've just kind of shelved.
Cool.
So, I mean, here. Anyone want to take a guess on how many games I've beaten?
Of the 446?
Yes.
87.
Yeah, I was going to say mid-60s.
245.
Whoa.
Wow. We completely underestimated.
Yeah, you're good. I wish I had that patience and dedication.
Well, this is almost every single game I've ever beaten.
Ever.
Almost ever. I think a vast majority of them are games I've owned. There's probably games that I've beaten that I don't own that are not on this list.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, yes. Apparently, I've beaten 200 plus games in my lifetime, which is not bad.
It's pretty good. It's half the games you've owned, you've beaten, so.
What's your name on there? I'm going to look you up right now.
So, darkadia.com/member/jetlandicho.
That's what I was figuring. Oh, man, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right. Oh, 50 Cent. Blood on the Sand right on top.
Alphabetical.
Yeah, I know.
3.5 stars.
Nice.
So yeah, if you're interested in putting one together through this Darkadia site, it's free. There's going to be a paid version at some point that adds more stuff. And I was able to pull together this list really fast, so...
I like it.
Yeah, check it out.
Nicely
other
done,
things happening on Split Kick. Let me pull this outline back up. We've got a Tales of Xillia review by Jeff. A March for Pigs by Adam Bash. He reviewed that game. Gave it a 10. Really like that one.
Really?
I'm not into the scary games, so I'll probably pass on that. But if you are into that type of thing, I hear this is really scary.
Yeah, I think I might play that game for 5 minutes, and then that'd
I'm
be
not even going to give it that much time. I'm already too afraid.
Yeah.
Ben's got a review for SteamWorld Dig, and we've got a new episode of Bits of Reality. They played Mercenary Kings. It was Dan and the gang. Don't forget to listen to Rocket Jump. They've actually changed. I meant to talk about this at the beginning of the show, but we probably should address some of the big changes at Split Kick.
Yes.
Since they talked about it on Rocket Jump before our last episode went up, and we didn't mention it at all. Not that we're ignoring it, but I guess just the timing of recording and stuff. So I guess the two big things, Rocket Jump has gone bi-weekly, so on weeks you do not hear the recurring Bosscast, you will hear Rocket Jump. So they've seen the light and are realizing that the 2-week schedule is the better way to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, not gonna lie, guys, I actually prefer doing it every other week than every week. Gives us more stuff to talk about.
Better spaced out. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, so we're not talking about dumb things like, oh, what did you play since last week? Nothing. Cool. I'm still playing the same thing as last week. Yeah. And it's also really hard to do with personal life and stuff. When you do this for a living, it's a different thing, but people got things to do.
Yep.
And I guess the other thing, from a writing perspective, Splitkick is abandoning AAA games, so don't hold your breath for a Grand Theft Auto 5 review or Call of Duty or anything like that. We are switching over to what they dub specialty games. So that's indie stuff and more genre-based stuff like JRPGs and fighting games and all that. So, I mean, I'm not necessarily the biggest champion of indie games. Not that I hate them, but that's not really my scene, but there's definitely some specialty stuff that I'm into, like Project Cross Zone, and I'm actually working on a tabletop game review right now.
Nice.
So that should be fun. And I guess the last thing we should wrap up before we go, on Twitter you can find us at Maddie Lang, at JJasicki, at Jetlandicho, and at SplitKickCom. So until next time, light the candles for your next kinky PS3some.
Heyo.